What happens when America's sweetheart finally hits her breaking point live on television? The cameras were rolling, millions were watching, and no one could have predicted what came next. Kelly Clarkson, known for her warmth and genuine heart, suddenly stood up in the middle of an interview, removed her microphone, and walked straight off the Good Morning America set. Michael Strahan was left frozen. The crew didn't move. The audience sat in silence. And the moment that led to that explosive exit started so casually that no one in the studio had any idea what was about to unfold. Before we dive into what pushed Kelly to her limit, make sure you're subscribed and comment below. Do you think Kelly was right to walk off, or should she have stayed? Now, let's get into what really went down. The morning began like any other cheerful segment on Good Morning America. Kelly Clarkson was booked for a 12-minute interview to promote her new tour and talk about her latest songs. She walked onto the stage smiling, full of energy, wearing a bright yellow blazer that seemed to light up the entire set. Michael Strahan greeted her warmly, flashing his trademark grin. The crowd applauded. Everything looked like a perfect start for what should have been a light-hearted chat between two friendly TV personalities. But within minutes, something shifted. You could see it in Kelly's face, a flicker of discomfort, so quick most people would have missed it. Michael began with what seemed like a harmless question. "Kelly, you look amazing as always," he said, leaning back casually. "How do you balance it all? The talk show, the music, being a mom, and still looking this good? What's the secret?" Kelly laughed, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Well, thank you, Michael. I just try to show up and be present, you know. There's no secret. Just hard work, a great team, and focusing on what really matters." Right, Michael nodded. Then he added something that made Kelly's expression change. "But seriously, you've been open about your weight journey and everything. How much of looking this good is discipline versus just good genes?" The room went still. The crowd stopped clapping. The air suddenly felt heavier. Kelly's publicist, standing off camera, shifted uncomfortably. Kelly took a quiet breath, trying to stay professional. "I think," she said carefully, "that looking good is really subjective, Michael. I feel good because I'm healthy and happy. That's what matters, not a number on a scale or trying to fit into anyone's expectations." Michael chuckled, missing the tension. No, of course. I'm just saying you look great. Better than you have in years. It's noticeable." Kelly's jaw tightened slightly. The camera operator instinctively zoomed in, sensing the shift. Kelly crossed her legs, a small sign of discomfort that body language experts would later dissect online. "Michael," Kelly said, voice still calm but firm, "I'm not sure what you mean by that. I've always looked like me. I've been different sizes, sure, but I've always been me. I've never felt like I needed to be better than I was in years, as you just said." Michael's co-hosts exchanged uncertain glances. The conversation was slipping off the rails. Trying to recover, Michael shrugged. "Hey, I'm just keeping it real. You're in the best shape I've seen you in." "That's a compliment, Kelly. Take the compliment." Kelly tilted her head slightly. "Is it, though?" she asked. "Because when you say someone looks better than before, you're also saying they didn't look good before. You see how that sounds?" Michael raised his hands defensively. "Whoa, that's not what I meant." "You're putting words in my mouth." "I was just saying you're glowing. That's a good thing." "By comparison to what?" Kelly pressed. "When I won American Idol? When I had my kids? When I went through my divorce? Which version of me wasn't good enough for you?" The room froze. Nobody spoke. The teleprompter stopped. Even the audience looked stunned. Robin Roberts, who had been reading notes for the next segment, suddenly looked up. Michael laughed nervously. "Kelly, come on, you're being too sensitive. I gave you a compliment and now you're twisting it into something negative." "I'm being too sensitive?" Kelly repeated, her voice calm but sharp. "You just spent several minutes telling me I look better than I used to, as if my worth depends on how I look. And when I push back, I'm too sensitive? That's the problem." "Kelly, you're misunderstanding," Michael said, his smile finally fading. "This is live TV. We're having a conversation. I'm trying to be nice here." "Nice," Kelly said. "Would have been asking about my music, my tour, my songs, not my looks." You made that the focus and now I'm misunderstanding you? Robin tried to step in. Kelly, why don't we talk about your tour? You've got some big stops coming up. But Kelly wasn't finished. No, I want to say this. Michael, do you know how many interviews I've done? Hundreds, maybe thousands. And do you know how many times I've been asked about my weight instead of my work? Too many. And every time I smile, I laugh, I move on, because women are taught to make men comfortable, even when we're not comfortable. Michael frowned. Now you're making this about gender. That's not fair. I compliment everyone who sits here. I told Ryan Reynolds last week he stays in great shape. Kelly looked straight at him. Did you tell him he looks better than he has in years? Did you ask about his weight journey? Or did you ask about his career? Michael hesitated. That silence said everything. The control room debated cutting to commercial, but the segment was still mid-run. They let it roll, a decision they would regret later. Look, Michael said, trying to reset. I think we started off wrong. Let's start fresh. Kelly Clarkson, welcome to Good Morning America. Kelly shook her head. No, Michael, that's exactly the issue. Something offensive happens, and everyone wants to reset and pretend it didn't, but it did happen. You said what you said. What exactly did I say that was so offensive? Michael asked, his patience thinning. The offense, Kelly said evenly, is reducing me to my looks on a morning when I came to talk about my art. It's treating my body like public property, something to judge and discuss. That's the problem. Michael leaned forward, clearly frustrated. So what, you're calling me sexist now? Because I asked how you stay healthy? You didn't ask about health, Kelly said. You asked how I look this good. You made it about my body, not my well-being. There's a big difference. The audience sat in silence. Some already had their phones out recording. They knew this would go viral. All right, fine, Michael said finally. I apologize if my question came across the wrong way. Can we move forward? Kelly studied him quietly. If your question came across wrong, she repeated. That's not an apology, Michael. That's you saying I misunderstood again. You're not taking responsibility. Robin stepped in again. Kelly, I think what Michael is trying to say. Michael cut her off. Robin, I can speak for myself. Kelly, I've done this job for years. Hundreds of interviews. No one's ever had a problem before. Maybe the issue isn't me. Maybe it's you bringing personal stuff into this. The audience gasped audibly. Personal stuff? Kelly asked quietly. You think this is about me personally? My personal stuff is 20 years of people judging my body, telling me I'm too this, too that, and every time I've smiled through it. That's my personal stuff. It's watching my daughters grow up and wondering if they'll have to deal with the same nonsense. Michael sighed. Nobody said you couldn't speak your mind, but there's a time and place. This is morning TV. People are eating breakfast. You're turning this into a political statement. Political? Kelly's voice rose slightly. Asking to be treated with respect is political now? Wanting to be seen for who I am, not how I look. That's political to you? You know what? Michael snapped. I think you came on here looking for a fight. What better promo for your tour than a viral meltdown on live TV? Kelly blinked in disbelief. You think I planned this? That I came here to be disrespected for attention? Really? I'm saying it's convenient, Michael muttered. That was the breaking point. Kelly stood up. The studio gasped. Her mic wire tugged as she pulled the pack off. Let me make something clear, Kelly said firmly. I don't need a viral moment. I don't need publicity. I came here expecting to be treated like a professional. And that didn't happen. Kelly, sit down, Michael said, his tone sharp. Let's talk this out. Don't tell me to sit down, Kelly replied instantly. You don't get to dismiss my feelings and then act like I'm being dramatic. That's not respect. Robin stood up between them. Kelly, Michael, please, let's all take a breath. Maybe we can cut to a break. But Kelly didn't even look at her. Michael had stood up now, too, towering over the scene. You're not walking off, he said. We're live. You can't just do that. Watch me, Kelly said, unclipping her mic. Think about it, Michael warned. You walk off, that's the story. That's all people will talk about. What I want, Kelly said, voice steady, is to be somewhere I'm respected. Clearly that's not here. Michael tried one last time. Kelly, please, let's just finish the interview. I promise we'll talk music, no more personal stuff. Kelly paused, looking at him. You promised to do what you should have done from the start. Treat me like a professional? That's your offer? Yes, Michael said quickly. Let's start over. Kelly's voice softened, but her eyes were sad. Michael, the fact that you think doing the bare minimum deserves a second chance, that says everything. This isn't a